I'm Richard Lloyd-Jones, and this is Thinking with Somebody Else's Head. Well,
and I'm Cláudia Pacheco.
which I'm going to do a big job of introducing. This is how I have begun every Thinking with Somebody Else's Head podcast since we've been doing them since 2006. And most of the time with my very special guest, Cláudia Pacheco. And this is our first try at going live. We have never done this before. And so if you're a first-timer to our show, Thinking with Somebody Else's Head is based on the landmark science of Brazilian psychoanalyst and social scientist Dr. Norberto Keppe. But those labels don't really do justice to his accomplishments, as you'll discover through our program today. Keppe's scientific discoveries in psychopathology and sociopathology reach into every area of human endeavor. And that's why you'll hear Thinking with Somebody Else's Head programs that approach economics, art and aesthetics, philosophy, psychology, relationships, education, energy and physics, health, spirituality and theology, pathology of power. We haven't done any movie reviews yet,
Yeah.
but we approach all sorts of areas in our programs. That's extensive, but even so, I think I'm only scratching the surface of the implications of Dr. Keppe's work. Because the essential foundation for understanding anything lies in how we understand the motivations and machinations of the human mind. What we do individually and socially reflects something prior in the human heart, mind, and spirit. So we work to tackle that inner world so you can understand better our resultant social life and our institutions and structures. That's what we do. And that's why our program is called Thinking with Somebody Else's Head, because many times we are developing narratives, ways of seeing the world based on somebody else's thinking that we've never analyzed. We are really thinking with somebody else's head. Now let's take our current reality, for example. How are you doing with this idea of the new normal? What's that going to be? Right? And who's determining that? Mandatory vaccines seems to be in the cards, pushed by a computer nerd who's suddenly become the world's go-to health expert. Paranoia about social contact will probably reverberate for a while. One of my students, Cláudia, was visiting her sister on the weekend and said she was afraid to hug her because, this craziness that's going on. Couples are going for dates in supermarkets and drugstores, for heaven's sakes. So it's kind of like this "Who Moved My Cheese" movement in the 90s, which was really just an excuse for corporations to justify moving their factories into sweatshops in Asia. Very much this new normal is being conditioned. We're being programmed for this. But you know what? I bet you're missing the old normal. But in our view, we've never had a normal, which is what we'll talk about today. According to Norberto Keppe's scientific conclusions, we are far from being normal human beings, which is what we'll explore today. So, how to be sane in a crazy world. My guest is a very special friend of mine, Cláudia Pacheco, a significant contributor to the new understanding of the human being and the world we live in. President of the Keppe Pacheco College, President of Stop the Destruction of the World Association, Vice President of the International Society of Analytical Trilogy, Dr. Keppe's right-hand person for 40 years, author, psychoanalyst, and a really good neighbor, Cláudia Pacheco. Well,
Hello, Richard.
Hello, Cláudia.
People. Hello, folks.
I wanted to give people an overview of what we do in our program, because I think there are probably people who are here for the first time, as we are here on YouTube for the first time.
Great.
So maybe to start, the WHO yesterday announced that asymptomatic people rarely spread COVID-19. And yet here we are with our masks.
Here we were. Here we were.
Incredible.
Until yesterday, just to fulfill social obligations, right? Because we know that this is not true. And many times we need to comply with this, unfortunately.
We need to go along with the narrative. And if you propose something different, there's a big shock to that. Do you remember in I think it was 1978, when Keppe went on Fantastico.
Sure,
It's a
I
big-
was there.
You were there.
Yes.
I
By
was
the
there.
way, I'm like almost for 50 years, not 40 years,
50 years.
working together with him.
This
It's
last
a long life.
6 months has gone like a blur this year.
Yes, yes.
So Dr. Keppe was on a program called Fantastico here in Brazil. It's on global television. It's a very famous news program. And he was proposing in that program about a psychosomatic medicine, that there are ways to avoid disease naturally through psychoanalysis, through spiritual development. And it was one of the most popular shows Fantastico had ever had. And then they never called him back again. So what happened?
He, in 77, he was in this first time in the Fantastico, and the success was so big that they invited him to do a special. And he was in the special, I was in the special, and it was the biggest hit of all Fantasticos since then. I guess it might be up to now, maybe, we don't know. But what happened is that after this show went on the air, all these authorities, the medical authorities and the pharma, the big pharma, was really disturbed, because if his ideas would be spread, would be a big danger for the big pharma.
Yeah.
And because it's really something to be healed with just through psychoanalysis, a scientific method that uses dialogue alone, and no drugs and no psychiatric drugs and nothing.
Yeah.
And then very serious diseases, those so-called lost cases by medicine, enigma, the enigmatic cases, chronic cases also. And not only chronic and enigmas, but also many common diseases like diabetes, ulcers, all the digestive system diseases.
Migraine headaches.
Sure. So not only that, all diseases, I mean, all diseases, because diseases, they come and they manifest when there is something psychological, misoriented or not going well. And there is no possibility for you to be sick if you have a strong immune system.
Now, this is one of the things that goes against the narrative today, which is one of the reasons that guys like Keppe and you are not being talked about more. If you go against the narrative today, you are excluded. You're like excommunicated from the scientific community.
Yes.
It's a phenomenon that I've wondered about for a long time.
I wonder, Richard, if it would not be the case for us today to introduce what I think is the biggest scientific discovery of the 20th century, and for the whole 21st and so on centuries on. A discovery that Dr. Keppe did in 1977, and it was the discovery of the inversion, the psychosocial inversion, but not only psychosocial inversion, it's an inversion that we live, society lives, and spread and contaminated all areas, because inside of us, psychologically speaking, and energetically speaking, we are upside down, and we see the world upside down. So everything that was like produced by human beings were upside down oriented. What do I mean with that? For example, if you consider the medical sciences, they start from an upside down, an inverted principle, that diseases come from organic causes, material causes, and they can affect the spiritual and psychological realm and social. Now, the true reality is that diseases start from an energetic point of view, energetic level, psycho-spiritual energetic level, and they manifest its consequences, or it can contaminate or disturb also the organic system.
Yeah, it goes the other way around. It comes from
The top.
and
The
on
same thing as energy, like you know the sources of energy in physics.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks that matter produces energy.
Yeah.
Energy comes from matter, and in reality, matter is the result of energy contained in time and space.
Yes. A prior energy.
A prior energy.
Yeah.
So matter does not produce energy, but energy produces matter.
Yes.
So everything is upside down in the planet. Laws are upside down. Education is upside down. Our perception of the universe is upside down.
Economics is totally.
Economics. So people living like for money and not using money, putting money at their service and own good and well-being.
Let me try to give you an example, Claudia. Yesterday I was talking about this in my class. What is the fascination that we have in this current crisis to focus only on the negative? Mm-hmm. Most people who get even the symptoms of coronavirus don't die. The idea that's spread is that, oh my God, don't go outside because you're going to contaminate somebody. And this is not what's happening. Yesterday in Sao Paulo, there were only I say only, any kind of death, of course, is shocking for the family, but 17 deaths in Sao Paulo yesterday, only. And yet we're still locked down, unable to go out because there's this idea that this virus is going to contaminate everybody. Mm-hmm. This is not the truth.
Well, it's not, as it is in all areas. Yeah. So when you speak about living in a crazy world, we can say we are living in an upside-down world. So if everybody understands what inversion really is, the change of the world will be so drastic, so fast, and so constructive, it will recover humanity, because we took the wrong way. We took a way that is leading us to behind. So it's like when you look in the mirror and you want to go into the mirror. You want to live inside the mirror, as the animals do. Yeah. So they bark in front of the mirror. They want to cross the mirror, and there are some short stories, children's stories. Remember Alice in the Wonderland?
Yes, Through the Looking Glass.
And this is the fantasy world. Yeah. So it's a delirious world. And most of the time, we are doing this. We are in delirium, and we don't realize.
Yeah, living as if it's real.
Yes. Yeah. Living, daydreaming, sort of. And daydreaming is not living in reality. It's escaping from reality. It's like a parallel reality. And illusory, how do you call this other reality?
Yeah, an illusion, a parallel.
Virtual. Now we really have a virtual reality, which people think, they imagine, they are living inside a computer. So now we are not anymore in Alice of the Wonderland of Alice, but we are in the Wonderland of Microsoft and Google, because we are living inside uma tela. How do you say? A screen.
A screen.
You are living inside a screen. So what is this? This is inversion.
It's even worse than the Matrix.
Worse than the Matrix.
Yeah, because it's a real thing. So, if we have a health problem, as they're alluding we have, the only solution is to deal with that physically.
Yes.
So you have masks, alcohol gel, social distancing.
And the true reason keeps unknown.
The true reason we never touch, and we don't even talk about it. And if you start to talk about that, you're excluded from the media. They're all around searching through the social media now, looking for dissenting views from the traditional narrative or the common narrative, the mainstream narrative, and they're taking them off of YouTube.
And if we consider this disinversion, the way people deal with this creates much more probabilities to get sick, because people get nervous, tense. It's an abnormal way of living. You get isolated, you get like upset, depressed, you stop working, you stop being active. In all senses is very negative. Psychologically speaking, totally negative. So our immune system breaks down much easier.
Yeah.
And so this is the opposite treatment people should take.
So this inversion leads us to think that the only solution is a material solution.
Yeah.
And what Dr. Keppe's analysis and Dr. Cláudia Pacheco's analysis does is have us look at the deeper aspects of the personality, our values, our spirituality, our attitudes about things, our actions. So these are factors inside the human being. And why has that not taken off? When I came to Brazil, I was absolutely fascinated with this idea, and I couldn't figure out why it wasn't taking off more. Why aren't people? Because it's the sort of the root cause of the problem is here. What happened?
You know that there is something very, very problematic, because when people realize the world, the sciences, the laws, the habits,
system.
education, everything that was built so far, mostly, not all, because in arts you still can see some good arts being produced, some true spirituality. So there is still divine, natural, energetic things that are holding humanity now. But what we produce in society, most of what we produce in science, and they are upside down. So, for instance, if you consider Keppe motor, that is a new technology that is being produced in our college with our engineers. The products we developed so far, they proved through tests, laboratory tests, that they are up to 70 to 90% less.
They are more efficient, more energy efficient,
more economic. They spend less. And so imagine what will happen to this economic structure that was built upon those motors that work with an upside down principle, and that waste a lot of energy because they are upside down in their principles.
Electricity, which you have to pay for.
Yeah, so all this economic, powerful system, what will happen?
It will fall apart.
They don't want to do this. They don't want to change because they are based on money-oriented society, which is another inversion.
Yes.
It's another inversion. So money is hindering society to develop, to be more productive, to have a friendly, ecological, human-friendly, and health-friendly technology.
Sure.
Because you know, Richard...
Medicine more connected to the truth of the human being.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
So we would be much more advanced. We would be traveling to the stars already. Really this.
I totally agree with that.
Everybody, another level of life.
Yeah.
Another level of life.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, if you're like a medical researcher and you want to research an alternative form of cure for something that doesn't include drugs, you won't get any money for your funding. It literally will not be available to you. So you're not able to develop these more natural.
And they forbid natural medicines.
And they forbid.
Natural medicines to be used and to be produced.
Yeah.
So we are sit in a society, a structure of society, which is 95% against humans.
Do you think, Cláudia, that the individual human being would be more open to this if the structure, the power of society permitted it to go forward?
For sure. For sure.
This is what I think.
For sure. And even when we speak about emotional problems that are the first number one cause of all diseases, at the present moment, Dr. Keppe uses to say that the sickness of society and its elements are being a bigger mental and physical illnesses producer than the inner life.
The system of the society,
Yeah.
not the psychology of the human individual.
Yes,
human
yes. Presently, this sickness in society, the inversion in society went so far that it's very, very difficult for a normal human being to be normal in a present society. If the person is already neurotic, being in this society, he will be a psychotic for sure, or psychopath. Because this society creates this kind of individuals.
It encourages this kind of behavior or rewards this kind of behavior.
Exactly. And you don't have any other option.
Yeah, that's true.
You don't have any other option. And more, less options are at hand.
And why do you think people are so afraid to let go of that official structure that we have, this mainstream structure, and search for something new?
What is the inversion here?
Yeah.
So the inversion here is that normally people think that the powerful, they are more capable than regular people.
Yeah.
And this is a complete upside down idea. Because normally the powerful that be in this world, they are more neurotic, less capable, less competent than human beings in general. But they have the power.
Power to the
and
people.
They searched for power. They dedicated their lives to get power, and they have the means to do this. While you were working honestly, you were researching honestly, you were having to pay your bills and so on and so forth, those people, they dedicate 100% of their time and interest to become powerful.
I just see some comments here on our YouTube channel, Claudia, that is interesting. They're creating panic and using this to make the changes they want. And this is a very dangerous thing.
For sure. That's the purpose.
That's the purpose. Now, there's when you were talking about the Keppe motor and the fact that the Keppe motor technology, by the way, this is a revolution in physics. This is not just a revolution in technology, it's a revolution in science, because it's proposing that energy is something prior to material. And then when the moment you enter that, you have to enter the question of our divine nature, how the universe is really structured. And if we have this technology going forward, we are not destroying the planet so much. I mean, it's like such a phenomenal thing.
And I want to tell you that this concept of energy, of the vacuum energy, the vacuum of space, it's something that was already dealt or already touched by Tesla and by also the Oriental culture and philosophy. Like China in the very long past, they had this concept in Japan of the key energy in like all over the universe. So you don't need to be a religious person to understand this. This is the vacuum energy concept. That in the vacuum concept there is much more energy than, in a cubicle. There are tons, the equivalent of tons of carbon, for instance, the energy equivalent.
Yeah. So what would happen if that technology were implemented is that the whole system
would break down.
Would break down. Charging for electricity, charging for...
Everybody would have an energy for free in the planet.
We wouldn't need any more nuclear power plants, which are very dangerous. We wouldn't need to flood huge areas of forest or to pollute.
So everybody would have free energy.
So then, it's the question I had when I first came here. How is this not? How is this not everywhere? I mean,
now the problem is that regular people, they don't believe in regular citizens. They just listen to powerful and to the media.
Yeah, the New York Times says it or something.
So this is the big inversion we suffer, that only the powerful. So if a powerful says something, it's true. If there is another scientist that is not already in power, so what he says is not true, or it's, what is this?
I didn't read about
why
it.
did not this concept is being taught in all the universities? Because universities work with powerful people and they search for power, prestige, and money. If not money, power and prestige, at least. So they will not challenge another's doctorate, a position in society. They are very much like...
And my profession, one of my professions of journalism, is really, really responsible here because, I brought with me this book on the elements of journalism. Mm-hmm. It's a kind of a Bible for journalists. Many famous journalists are quoted in this book. And in the front cover of the book, not even inside the book, it has the elements of journalism. You know what number 1 is? The journalism's first obligation is to the truth.
So, Richard, let's see the biggest, one of the biggest inversions of all.
Yeah.
What is the biggest inversion of all? That truth hurts.
Yeah.
That truth is
an attack somehow, right?
Attack, inadequate.
Yeah.
To live in society, you are not supposed to speak the truth.
Yeah.
And you are not supposed to accept the truth. And so people will say, what is the truth? You have your truth, I have my truth.
Yeah.
So
Who's
this is a trick.
What the truth is? It's a trick.
So this is a trick. If a person gets sick, it's not something that it's truthful to a person and another, it's not. So everything is like this. There is an objective reality. But we live, as I told you, in this delirious state.
Subjective in a way, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
But the truth is here. The truth is there. And people are enemies of the truth. They speak about the truth, but people are enemies of the truth. And this is one of the biggest inversions. And people who speak the truth, generally they are killed.
Or attacked severely. And this truth, how would you characterize it from your scientific point of view? The truth is
what it is.
Okay.
The truth is reality.
Yeah. The true reality.
Yes. And the truth is goodness, beauty, and truth. And the truth is also what we do against this.
Yeah.
But the truth is what it is. Now, if people don't see the truth, if they don't accept the truth, if they don't get it, it's not the problem with the truth. It's the problem with our minds,
yes.
Our intentions, our degree of honesty, or not.
Yeah, this is what I sometimes, what we say to students too, you can have opinions about the truth, but the truth is...
The truth.
The truth. And if you say, well, but I don't believe that, well, now we have another problem. Now we have a problem of an individual seeing what's correct and then saying, oh, but I'm not going to follow that.
Yeah.
That's boring.
Yeah.
Which is another inversion we have, that the truth is boring somehow, that to tell the truth, to be honest, to be good, that's like being a nerd. That's like being boring.
But on the other hand, if you lie to someone, he would not like it.
Nobody likes this.
Nobody likes. So there is something in here.
Yeah.
Right?
Everybody recognizes.
Nobody wants to be deceived. Nobody likes this. There is something very important here.
So this inversion Dr. Keppe discovered touches every area. This is why a psychoanalyst can analyze every area of human activity because of this understanding of the principle of inversion. And it's an incredible discovery. If you read more about Dr. Keppe's
Richard,
work,
in my understanding, it would take decades, even centuries maybe, to disinvert everything that was built upon inversion.
Yeah.
Because we need to go there and see the inversions. That's why Keppe got this prizes, this technology of new physics of Keppe, Keppian physics, got real true prizes because the motors, they proved in laboratory that they were 90% more efficient than the other regular ones. So this is a proof. And as you told in the beginning of the program, people who do analysis, they can and they do heal. And this is shown in laboratory tests. So this is practical. And people in the planet, people in this upside-down planet, they think that only what is verifiable through matter, materialistic
mathematical formula,
or exams or this matter. The only what matters is matter. But even in matter, we see that this works.
Yes, the Keppe motor has been awarded in many places around the world for its efficiency and its innovation, because it's an innovative technology that nobody's developing. And like so many innovative technologies, it doesn't see the light of day because the system of power just doesn't permit it from going forward. It's a very serious problem.
So we had to create our own college. Let's see up to when we are able to keep this college, because we produce pure science in this college.
Yeah.
So people who want to do courses in our college, they have to enter in our platform. So far, we have one platform, Keppe Pacheco College. Soon, probably soon, I hope, we will get the license for this other distance courses college.
Yeah. Yeah, we're doing many things online as we're doing today anyway.
Yes, anyway.
We're using the technology, which is here, and to do something I think is really good and really necessary.
We have new physics course online available.
Yes.
Yes, we have. For those who are interested, they can do this.
So you can find a lot of stuff in our description of our YouTube channel today, including an ebook that we have developed, which is based on a conversation I had with Dr. Pacheco, could it be 10 years ago? A long time ago, before I had white hair. And in that ebook, we explore very deeply this principle of inversion that she's talking about. It's called Humanity's Core Problem Explained. So you'll find some explanations for you there in English. And there are all sorts of other things in our description, in our YouTube channel, different links where you can find out about our courses and things. I hope you'll do that. It's been wonderful.
Do we have an ebook about inversion?
Yes.
You
just
produce?
wrote one,
Yeah, beautiful. I want to see it.
Okay. You spoke it. It's your words.
You know, Richard.
Yes, Claudia.
I want to do another live with you, speaking only about a very complicated but essential concept, which is projective identification or inverted identification. So this is a very complex process that human beings do, psychological process, which is ruining all relationships and perception of the world and of people. I want to do a special on this.
Good.
Because we need to bring examples, we need to make clear to people how they can benefit from this, because there is no relationship possible, if good relationship and lasting relationship, if we don't understand this inverted identification. And among families, parents, children, parents, couples, bosses, friends, in society, everywhere, even with God, with angels, with demons, whatever, we have this projective or inverted identification. Because Melanie Klein already spoke about projective identification. Now, Keppe brought something even further in the concept to understand what is inverted identification. So I want to...
Let's try next week, maybe. Or
yes, next week.
We'll try
probably
next week.
We'll try next week, because we need to go through this, and only through this, and have examples, and maybe even answering some questions here. While we speak, people may do some questions, and we can answer them.
One of the big inverted identification situations is the system of power, which paints the people as being dangerous, and not them.
So let them to be curious for the next...
We'll do it next week, okay?
Next live.
Thanks for tuning in. Been wonderful to have you. Thank you for your comments. Please enter into our information in the description. You can receive the free ebook there about inversion, the core problem of human beings explained, and all sorts of other information about our courses and different programs and books and all sorts of things, okay? So go there to do that. Register your name so you get that information. Thanks for tuning in. Been wonderful to be with you. Thank you again, Claudia, as always.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye for now.